All members, please come to the floor. All members, please come to the floor. All members will please come to the floor. The hour for convening having arrived. All members will please come to the floor and take their seats. Mr. Clerk, will you ring the bell? We're going to have the afternoon roll call. All members present will please vote green to signify their presence in the chamber. Mr. Clerk, will you unlock the machines? Have all members voted? All members voted. All members, I think, have voted. So, if so, Mr. Clerk, will you lock the machines? Doorkeepers, will you please close the doors and keep them closed? As is our custom, we will begin our day of work with scripture reading and prayer by the chaplain, after which we will pledge allegiance to the flag of our country. Our chaplain this afternoon will be introduced by the gentleman from the 148th House District, representing Noel Williams. Representative Williams.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I would like to welcome today my pastor from Cordele, originally from Savannah, Georgia. He has been our pastor for the past 7 years. He has done an excellent job. He's a great leader, but he's a better friend. And he's really good at the Word. So I've heard a lot of preachers in my time, and it's really awesome getting to hear him every Sunday. So I'd like to introduce to you all today my pastor and friend, Larry Rollins.
Welcome, Speaker.
I appreciate it.
Thank you so much. It is an honor and a privilege to be here in the house this afternoon. I almost said this morning. My original schedule, as you know, was this morning. And I got to thinking about that before I began to share this morning, because normally I preach in the morning and I watch people looking at their watch so they can get to the restaurant before the Baptist. We're Methodist. So, and I know a Baptist preacher says the exact same thing. So I figure y'all have all had lunch, so we've got time, right? I'm just kidding. No, before I do want to thank y'all for being here. I want to thank you for a miracle that you've performed. Noel Williams, I understand, sits over here, which means he doesn't have to sit on the back row, which is a minor miracle, and we're delighted. It's nice to know what you look like up close, Noel. Thank you. Y'all tell me if he dozes off. I'll know ahead of time. I just wanted to share, before I share scripture and prayer with y'all, I was noticing in the hallway just what sort of pandemonium goes on around here. And I know everyone in this room has such a weight of responsibility, and I understand that. I know there's that place where sometimes it feels like no matter what you do, nothing goes right, or certainly nobody gives you credit. I have been in the ministry now 30 years, and everywhere I go, there is an Edgar. That was a gentleman at a church I served. Edgar was a guy who he occasionally had a good word to say to somebody. I just never heard it. And even when he began with a good word, it usually ended with, yeah, but, and then there was something else. And I know there's those days it feels that way no matter what you do. It doesn't seem to make a difference and you get overwhelmed. I share that with you because I wanted to share what to me is one of the hardest, most difficult, if you will, scriptures in the Bible, because it sounds good, and there's a lot that sounds good, but then what you do with it is a whole nother ball game. And it's from 1 Thessalonians chapter 5, verses 16 through 17. And it says simply, rejoice always, pray continuously, and give thanks in all circumstances. And that sounds marvelous. Except I don't know about you, there's times I don't feel like rejoicing always. And sometimes my prayers are not the lovely things that seems to make. It's, Lord, do something about Noel, or something along those lines in there. And then give thanks in all circumstances. I drove up here yesterday and I left Cordele a little early thinking I'd beat the traffic. There is no such thing. And as I sat there in the traffic, the traffic jam that exists from Locust Grove to 675, I sat there and I thought, I'm going to talk about rejoicing, and I don't feel like rejoicing. And I'm certainly not thankful for this. But let me give you something that I hope will be a nice nugget, just very briefly, to carry with you in the work that you're doing today and before we pray together. I have been privileged to serve in the ministry for 30 years. And as a Methodist minister, I have served everywhere from Savannah to Chester. I don't know who represents Chester here. I just will say 30 years ago when I was appointed to Chester, it didn't exist on the map I bought from the convenience store. I've served in Macon and Vidalia and Columbus. I went to school in Atlanta, and I say all that to say I find this to be a wonderful state. There's so much and so many wonderful folks in so many places. And today I drive back and forth to see my mother in Savannah, or up to Cartersville to see my mother-in-law and her family. And I realize just how amazing our state is. All the different places. I drive through towns I've served, and I'm thankful for the folks I know. And I realize sometimes we miss it. In all of the rush and all of the confusion, we miss it. My family are avid campers, and we have camped at nearly every one of the state parks in Georgia. That was our standard getaway. My sons are big campers. I even honeymooned at Cloudland Canyon State Park years ago. And just the way the state is, the beauty of the state is marvelous. You can go and see and do so very much. It's wonderful. I am proud and happy to have raised my sons in this state. I have an older son who lives in Columbus, is married, settled there, loves where he lives. I have a younger son that went into the Army and trained at Fort Benning, now Fort Moore, before he was deployed in numbers of places. And he went out, and before he was deployed the first time, he bought himself a camouflaged pattern Atlanta Braves cap, so he could carry it with him to Iraq and Afghanistan and Syria and wherever else. And he looked at me with a grin. He said, I got to be a missionary too, Dad. Go Braves. So there were those places that we just love about the state. But I wanted to tell you the one thing that made me happiest and most excited about being a Georgian. In September, as you know, Hurricane Helene churned up and came in. In Cordele, we watched the weather, and it looked like it was going to come right over top of us. And we had been hit by Hurricane Michael back in 2018, and we were worried to death about what that was going to mean. And so we battened down and buckled down. And then, of course, as you know, somewhere in the night, it took a turn to the east, and it hit our neighbors farther off in that direction. And I have said to this day that the people of my church, I think, suffer from survivor's guilt. They were fully expecting it to hit us, and it didn't. And literally that morning, my phone began to light up as folks said, "What can we do? How can we help?" Other pastors in the community called, and all of a sudden we were just inundated with donations of money, of tarps, of water, of canned goods, stuff that I don't think we'll ever use, but folks were giving everything they could. We sent, working with folks in our community, and I know all the communities around here did this. We sent teams up to bring food to some places. We sent teams to bring whatever was needed. I loaded up, one of the teams that went was in a truck that I was driving, and we were loaded up with stuff to go see folks that I had known back in Vidalia. And we drove a truckload of tarps and water and canned goods. And I'm only telling you this because on the way there, as I drove through places that were so dear to me and that were so devastated and so torn up, we drove past town after town, and in every parking lot of churches and shopping centers were these centers where people were handing out food and tarps and water. These were church groups and civic groups. These were black people and white people and brown people. These were Democrats and Republicans. These were neighbors. And it didn't matter what label we put on each other. It meant our friends were in trouble and we could do something. And I know sometimes I forget that in the stuff when I run into the Edgars of this world and I get frustrated. And I remind myself that those are the people that God has called me to serve, and I am so grateful for it. And those are the people that you are blessed to serve. And I am thankful that we have the opportunity, in all of the hard work you're going to do, to care for the folks of the state of Georgia, who are marvelous folks. And so I do rejoice always. There's so much to rejoice in. I pray continually. Sometimes it's, "Oh Lord, help." Sometimes it's, "Lord, thank you." I give thanks in all circumstances because we are indeed a blessed people. And I hope that lifts your day. I hope that strengthens you as you go forward today, as you do the hard work that's called upon. And remember the folks, like the folks in that gallery and all over the state, who are here because they know that they can be trusted. They can trust you in what you do. Thank you for your service. Will you bow with me in prayer? God of us all, we bow before you as a blessed people, a people with much to celebrate and much that brings us joy. Give us eyes to see it and ears to hear it and hearts to be well filled. Teach us to see one another through your eyes of grace and appreciation. Be with those whom you have entrusted with leadership. Grant them your wisdom and your patience. Remind them of why they serve and most especially whom they serve. Teach us all to cherish your gifts, most especially the beloved sons and daughters you place around us. In our work and in our challenges, even in our disagreements, may we build up and never tear down, so that we may hand this wonderful legacy to our children, to our grandchildren, and to many generations yet unborn. This is our hope, our dream, and our prayer. In your holy name we pray this day. Amen. Amen. Would you join me in the pledge? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Brother Larry.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Thank
Don't
you.
go anywhere. We're going to take a photo. Doorkeepers, you may unlock the doors. Members, you can join Brother Larry in the South Ante room and thank him for being with us today. We appreciate your words, brother. Thank you for being here and appreciate that prayer as well. Members, our doctor of the day is brought to us by Representative Scott Holcomb. He doesn't say that's wrong. Our doctor is Dr. Daniel Lopez. We appreciate Dr. Lopez serving us today. Chairman Hilton, the chair of the Committee on Information and Audits, is recognized. Chairman Hilton.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Your Committee on Information and Audits has spent the long weekend reading the journal the previous legislative day, and after many days, we've found it to be correct.
I'm sure you didn't get much sleep. I understand you're a slow reader. The Chairman Hilton, the chair of the Committee on Information and Audits, reports that the journal of the previous legislative day has been read and found to be correct. Is any objection to dispense with the reading of the journal? Chair hears none. The reading of the journal is dispensed with. Is there any objection to the confirmation of the journal? Hearing none, the journal is confirmed. Mr. Clerk, are you ready to read the resolution establishing the order of business for the day?
Representative Administration of the 104th moves following be established as the order of business in the first part of the period unanimous consents. Introduction of bills and resolutions, first reading and reference of House bills and resolutions, second reading of bills and resolutions, reports of standing committees, first reading and reference of Senate bills and resolutions, morning orders.
Is there any objection to the adoption of the resolution establishing the order of business for the day? Hearing none, the resolution is adopted. Mr. Clerk. Members, I would ask you to direct your attention, your full attention. We have a special guest who's serving Georgia and serving the United States of America in the U.S. Congress. A former member of this House. I'm going to ask him to join me. Members, take your seats. Cease your conversations. A distinguished Georgian that is serving us well, and I can let you all know, as we had a conversation about hurricane relief and disaster relief, I can't think of any better champion for Georgia, and especially rural Georgia, that served us any better and was any more proactive and helpful than Congressman Sanford Bishop. So I want you to show your appreciation to the Congressman as he comes and speaks to us right now. He's earned that privilege as a former member of this House. Congressman Bishop.
Good afternoon, Mr. Speaker, ladies and gentlemen of the House. It is indeed a privilege and an honor for me to be here back home. Truly, this is the day that the Lord has made, and we must rejoice and be glad in it. I am so happy to be here. It's very nostalgic to come back where I got my beginning, where I understood the fundamentals of the legislative process and politics. There was no better training for me than the 14 years I spent in this House and the 2 years over in the Senate, which really underscored how important the work is that you do. And so I just want to come and to greet you, to let you know that we are in Washington as you are here, doing our dead level best to represent the people of the state of Georgia. I represent Middle and Southwest Georgia. I have for now, this is my 33rd year. But the thing that I am so happy about is that here in this General Assembly, I learned that politics is nothing more, nothing less than who gets what and when and how in this legislative and this political process. Now, we all, on the federal level, the state level, and even the local level, represent the same people. We are sworn and we are committed to working for and in their behalf. And too often, we lose our focus and focus on the things that divide us. But we must remember, as we serve the people of this state, and as I serve the people of this country, that we must focus on our common goals, our common hopes, and our common aspirations. And we have more in common than we have that divides us. And so I'm happy to be this state's representative in Washington to help pursue the strong interests of this state, improving the quality of life for everyone in this state and, of course, in these United States. Agriculture is the strongest industry, the biggest economic engine in this state. I'm proud to be in a position to help our state's agriculture. Defense and military and veterans are the next biggest contributor and influencer in this state. I'm proud to be in a position to do that. And of course, many people across this country don't know how important financial services are to this country, and half of the transactions in this country every single day come right through Georgia. So we have so much in common, so much to look after, and I look forward to continuing to work with each and every one of you, the Speaker, the Lieutenant Governor, the Governor, all of the people of the state of Georgia, to make this state the best state anywhere and to have the quality of life for the people of this state as high and as good as possible. As we carry out our duties, each and every one of us is here for a certain time. We have our period of service. It is my hope and my prayer that each of us, you as you represent your constituents in your district, I as I represent the people of the 2nd Congressional District, and all of us use the time that we have here for the betterment of our people. Every single moment here should be for and in behalf of all of the people of our states and the people that we represent. Dr. Benjamin Mays used to quote a poem. It's an anonymous poet. I have only just a minute, only 60 seconds in it, forced upon me. Can't refuse it, didn't seek it, didn't choose it. I must suffer if I lose it. Give account if I abuse it. Just a tiny little minute, but eternity is in it. I pray that all of us in our respective positions will use God's minute for the betterment of humanity and humankind. Thank you so much for allowing me to come back to this chamber that means so much to me. God bless you, and God bless your work for the people of Georgia.
Appreciate your service. Congressman Bishop, thanks for taking time to come by and be with us. Thanks for your service. You make us proud. Keep doing what you're doing. Members, Congressman Bishop will join you in the South Ante room so you can visit with him a moment and get a photo with him. Thank you for your attention, members. Okay, members, we're moving right along. First reading of bills and resolutions. The clerk will read.
House Bill 440 by Representative Clark of the 100th, Werkheiser of the 157th, Princeton of the 132nd, Mathiak of the 82nd, Carpenter of the 4th, and others. A bill being titled an act to amend various provisions of the official code of Georgia and annotated so as to rename low THC oil as medical cannabis. We'll take care of it.
Health.
House Bill 441 by Representative Dunhoo to the 31st, Carpenter of the 4th, Byrd of the 20th, Mathis of the 133rd, Kelly the 16th, and others. A bill be titled an act to amend Title 16 of the official code of Georgia annotated relating to crimes and offenses.
Remind me. So if I want to drop a bill and get it read for the first time today, can I drop it here or do I still have to take it down there?
You would drop it here, you would.
Judiciary non-civil.
House Bill 442 by Representative Reese, the 140th, Stevens, the 164th, Townsend of the 179th, Bernal of the 77th, Herring of the 145th. Bill be titled Act to amend Subpart 2, Part 1 of Article 16, Chapter 2, Title 20 of the Official Code of Georgia annotated relating to compulsory attendance for students.
Education.
House Bill 443 by Representative Petrie, the 166th, Rhodes, the 124th, Deloach, 167th, Stevens, 164th, Franklin, the 160th, and others. Bill be titled Act to amend Code Section 27-223 of the Official Code of Georgia annotated relating to license, permit, tag, and stamp fees.
Game, fish, and parks.
House Bill 444 by Representative Silcox of the 53rd, Gaines the 120th, Jones of the 47th, Reeves of the 99th, Hilton of the 48th. Bill be titled Act to amend Chapter 4 of Title 1 of the Official Code of Georgia annotated relating to holidays and observances.
Special rules.
House Bill 445 by Representative Martin of the 49th. Bill be titled Act to amend Chapter 5 of Title 48 of the Official Code of Georgia annotated relating to ad valorem taxation of property.
Ways and Means.
House Bill 446 by Representative Ridley of the 22nd, Gullett of the 19th, Werkheiser of the 157th, Barton of the 5th, Parsons the 44th, and others. Bill be titled Act to amend Article 3, Chapter 2, Title 46 of the Official Code of Georgia annotated relating to investigations and hearings of the Public Service Commission.
Ag and Consumer Affairs.
House Bill 447 by Representative Gullett of the 19th, Jones of the 25th, Evans of the 57th, Chastain of the 7th, Barrett of the 24th. Bill be titled Act to amend Article 4, Chapter 9, and Title 16 of the Official Code of Georgia annotated relating to fraud and related offenses.
Judiciary non-civil.
House Bill 448 by Representative Chastain of the 7th. The bill being titled An Act to abolish the office of elected county surveyor of Gilmer County.
Intergovernmental coordination.
House Bill 449 by Representative Rhodes, the 124th, Ridley the 6th, Hitchens, the 161st, Stevens, the 164th, Smith, the 70th, and others. Bill be titled Act to amend Title 46 of the Official Code of Georgia annotated relating to public utilities and public transportation.
Ag and Consumer Affairs.
House Bill 450 by Representative Stevens, the 164th. Bill be titled Act to amend Article 1 of Chapter 5 of Title 53 of the Official Code of Georgia annotated relating to general provisions regarding probate.
Judiciary.
House Bill 451 by Representative Cannon, the 172nd, Rhodes, the 124th, Irwin of the 32nd, Dubnik of the 29th, Corbett of the 174th. Bill be titled an act to amend Part 14 of Article 6 of Chapter 2 of Title 20 of the Official Code of Georgia annotated relating to other educational programs under the Quality Basic Education Act.
Education.
House Bill 452 by Representative Roberts, the 52nd, Lupton of the 83rd, Campbell the 35th, Westbrook of the 163rd, Berry the 56th, and others. Bill be titled an act to amend Part 3 of Article 4, Chapter 11, and Title 16 of the official code of Georgia annotated relating to carrying and possession of firearms.
Public safety and homeland security.
House Bill 453 by Representative Roberts, the 52nd, Panditch the 51st, Campbell the 35th, Berry the 56th, Herring of the 145th. Bill be titled an act to amend Article 4, Chapter 11, and Title 16 of the official code of Georgia annotated relating to dangerous instrumentalities and practices.
Public safety and homeland security.
House Bill 454 by Representative Gaines, the 120th, Weed Hour, 121st, Rhodes, the 124th, Ridley, the 6th, Richardson, the 125th, and others. Bill be titled an act to amend Chapter 3, Title 12 of the official code of Georgia annotated relating to parks, historical areas, and memorials.
Game, fish, and parks.
House Bill 455 by Representative Powell, the 33rd, McDonald the 3rd of the 26th, Dubnik of the 29th, Carpenter the 4th, Newton of the 127th, and others. Bill be titled an act to amend Part 2 of Article 2 of Chapter 12 of Title 16 of the official code of Georgia annotated relating to bingo.
Regulated industries.
House Bill 456 by Representative Wilkerson of the 38th, Alexander of the 66th, Buckner of the 137th, Jones of the 25th, Kelly the 16th, and others. Bill be titled an act to amend Chapter 5 of Title 48 of the official code of Georgia annotated relating to ad valorem taxation of property.
Ways and means.
House Bill 457 by Representative Horner the 3rd, Powell of the 33rd, Carpenter the 4th, Ridley the 22nd, Jaspers of the 11th. Bill be titled an act to amend Chapter 28 of Title 43 of the official code of Georgia annotated relating to occupational therapists.
Regulated industries.
House Bill 458 by Representative Cummings of the 39th, Crow of the 118th, Hitchens of the 161st, New of the 40th, Neal of the 79th. Bill be titled an act to amend Part 1 of Article 2 of Chapter 13 of Title 16 of the official code of Georgia annotated relating to schedules, offenses, and penalties.
Judiciary non-civil.
House Bill 459 by Representative Carter of the 93rd, Schofield of the 63rd, Bennett of the 94th, Hughley the 141st, Lim of the 98th, and others. Bill being titled an act to amend Chapter 1, Title 31 of the official code of Georgia annotated relating to general provisions regarding health.
Public and community health.
House Bill 462 by Representative Hagan of the 156th, a bill being titled Act to authorize Toombs County to exercise all redevelopment and other powers provided under the Constitution.
Intergovernmental coordination. I probably just assigned your bill somewhere and you didn't hear it, because I'm not sure what I signed. If there are conversations that need to occur on the floor, take them down several octaves. If you can take it to the anteroom, I can see that one. It's empty, and there's refreshments out there. So why don't you take it out there? And this one's empty as well. But I'm good. I don't have anything to do about 6 o'clock. Maybe even 7.
It went to public. Want me to reread that one?
Yes, I'm going to ask the clerk to reread House Bill 462. Members, I know y'all haven't seen each other over this long weekend. You're catching up. And I'd be glad for y'all to have these conversations, but you need to take them to the ante room. Members, please take your seats and give the clerk your attention. Mr. Clerk, will you read House Bill 462 again?
House Bill 462 by Representative Hagan of the 156th, the bill be titled an act to authorize Toombs County to exercise all redevelopment and other powers provided under the Georgia Constitution.
Intergovernmental coordination.
House Bill 463 by Representative Blackman of the 146th, Burns of the 159th, Hatchett of the 155th, Gilliard of the 162nd, Stevens of the 164th, and others. Bill be titled Act to amend Part 1 of Article 2, Chapter 5 of Title 4080 of the Official Code of Georgia Annotated relating to tax exemptions.
Ways and Means.
House Bill 464 by Representative Bell of the 75th, Hanian of the 81st, Berry of the 56th, Byrd of the 20th, Sanchez of the 42nd. A bill being titled an act to amend Article 2, Chapter 3 of Title 16 of the Official Code of Georgia Annotated relating to justification and excuse.
Judiciary non-civil.
House Bill 465 by Representative Gilliard of the 162nd, Hitchens of the 161st, Neal of the 79th, Stevens of the 164th, Sharper of the 177th, and others. Bill be titled an act to amend Article 7, Chapter 3, Title 35 of the Official Code of Georgia Annotated relating to statewide alert systems.
Public Safety and Homeland Security.
House Bill 466 by Representative Cameron of the 1st, Williams of the 168th, Stevens of the 164th, Petrie of the 166th, and Reeves of the 99th. Bill be titled an act to amend Article 3 of Chapter 3 of Title 50 of the Official Code of Georgia Annotated relating to other state symbols.
Special rules.
House Resolution 257 by Representative Hughley of the 141st, Parker of the 107th, Miller of the 62nd, Fry of the 122nd, Alexander of the 66th, and others. A resolution creating and authorizing a House Special Committee on Oversight of Federal Funds.
Budget and Fiscal Affairs Oversight.
House Resolution 258 by Representative Hilton of the 48th, Saints of the 180th, Mathiak of the 82nd, Clark of the 100th, Donatucci of the 105th, and others. A resolution applying to the United States Congress to call a convention under Article 5.
Rules.
The Senate Bill 21 by Senators Tillery of the 19th, Brass of the 6th, Walker of the 3rd of the 20th, Harbin of the 16th, Burns of the 23rd, and others. Bill be titled an act to amend Chapter 80 of Title 36 of the Official Code of Georgia Annotated relating to general provisions applicable to counties and municipal corporations.
Public Safety and Homeland Security.
Senate Bill 44 by Senator Watson of the 11th, Goodman of the 8th, Summers of the 13th, Huffstetler of the 52nd, Kennedy of the 18th, and others. Bill being titled an act to amend Code Section 22-165 of the Official Code of Georgia Annotated relating to equalization grants.
Education.
Senate Bill 76 by Senator Eccles of the 49th, Kirkpatrick of the 32nd, Payne of the 54th, Brass of the 6th, Summers of the 13th, and others. Bill be titled an act to amend Code Section 40-86 of the Official Code of Georgia Annotated relating to license plates promoting or supporting certain agencies.
Motor Vehicles.
Senate Bill 99 by Senator Robertson of the 29th, Albers of the 56th, Breeden of the 30th, Summers of the 13th, Hickman of the 4th, and others. A bill be titled an act to amend Code Section 16-1-3 of the Official Code of Georgia Annotated relating to definitions relative to crimes and offenses.
Public Safety and Homeland Security.
That completes first readers.
Second reading of bills and resolutions. The clerk will read.
House Bill 407 by Representative Gilliard of the 162nd, Crawford of the 89th, Hawley of the 116th, Tran of the 80th, Schofield of the 63rd, and others. A bill relating to income taxes. House Bill 408 by Representative Gilliard of the 162nd, Cannon of the 58th, Scott of the 76th. A bill relating to insurance licensing. House Bill 409 by Representative Gilliard of the 162nd, Jackson of the 68th, Moore of the 91st, Hefner of the 130th. A bill relating to income taxes. House Bill 410 by Representative Deloach of the 167th, Lumsden of the 12th, Williamson of the 112th, a bill relating to insurance. House Bill 411 by Representative Irwin of the 32nd, a bill to amend an act creating Board of Commissioners for Banks County. House Bill 412 by Representative Kelly of the 16th, a bill to amend an act creating the Polk County Water Authority. House Bill 413 by Representative Jenkins of the 136th, Huddleston of the 72nd, Campbell of the 171st, Ridley of the 22nd, Byrd of the 20th, a bill relating to general provisions regarding agriculture. House Bill 414 by Representative Jones of the 25th, Deloach of the 167th, Gunter of the 8th, Scoggins of the 14th, Holcomb of the 101st, a bill relating to government transparency and campaign finance. House Bill 415 by Representative Jones of the 25th, Seabaugh of the 34th, Barrett of the 24th, Petrie of the 166th, Corbett of the 174th, and others, a bill relating to property. House Bill 416 by Representative Estration of the 104th, Blackman of the 146th, Kelly of the 16th, a bill relating to enterprise zones. House Bill 417 by Representative Gaines of the 120th, Hitchens of the 161st, Dickey of the 134th, and Green of the 154th, a bill relating to definitions regarding tuition equalization grants at private colleges and universities. House Bill 418 by Representative Schofield of the 63rd, Carpenter of the 4th, Tran of the 80th, Davis of the 87th, Scott of the 76th, a bill relating to regulation and of employment of minors. House Bill 419 by Representative Hawkins of the 27th, Gamble of the 15th, Martin of the 49th, Jackson of the 128th, Mathis of the 133rd, and others, a bill relating to the university system. House Bill 420 by Representative Taylor of the 173rd, Hawkins of the 27th, Dempsey of the 13th, Mathiak of the 82nd, Stinson of the 150th, and others, a bill relating to general provisions regarding insurance. House Bill 421 by Representative Taylor of the 173rd, Rice of the 139th, Reeves of the 99th, Ballinger of the 23rd, Mathiak of the 82nd, a bill relating to crimes and offenses. House Bill 422 by Representative McCollum of the 30th, Jones of the 47th, Burchett of the 176th, Williamson of the 112th, Blackman of the 146th, and others, a bill relating to employees' insurance and benefit plans. House Bill 423 by Representative Wade of the 9th, Donatucci of the 105th, Reeves of the 99th, Silcox of the 53rd, Hilton of the 48th, and others, a bill relating to Emergency Communications Authority and Emergency Telephone Number 911 System. House Bill 424 by Representative Meeks of the 178th, Dickey of the 134th, Burchett of the 176th, Wade of the 9th, McDonald of the 26th, and others, a bill relating to liability for use of fertilizers, plant growth regulators, or pesticides. House Bill 425 by Representative Burchett of the 176th, Hagan of the 156th, Camp of the 135th, Hatchett of the 155th, Osteen of the 169th, and others, a bill relating to imposition rate, computation, exemptions, and credits. House Bill 426 by Representative New of the 40th, Estration of the 104th, Hughley of the 141st, Burchett of the 176th, Park of the 107th, and others, a bill relating to magistrate courts. House Bill 427 by Representative Reese of the 140th, Green of the 154th, Smith of the 18th, Gillett of the 19th, Lallier of the 59th, a bill relating to recording relative of property. House Bill 428 by Representative Franklin of the 160th, Jones of the 47th, Silcox of the 53rd, Hilton of the 48th, Hong of the 103rd, and others, a bill relating to general provisions regarding health. House Bill 429 by Representative Wilkerson of the 38th, Prince of the 132nd, Seabaugh of the 34th, Blackman of the 146th, Smith of the 41st, and others, a bill relating to ad valorem taxation of motor vehicles. House Bill 430 by Representative Saines of the 180th, Clifton of the 131st, Ballard of the 147th, Ford of the 170th, Ballinger of the 23rd, and others, a bill relating to Sexual Offender Risk Review Board. House Bill 431 by Representative Jones of the 25th, Powell of the 33rd, Ridley of the 6th, Hatchett of the 155th, Corbett of the 174th, and others, a bill to amend the Fair Business Practices Act of 1975. House Bill 432 by Representative Kelly of the 16th, Rhodes of the 124th, Cannon of the 172nd, Dunhoo of the 31st, Chastain of the 7th, and others, a bill relating to trout license, Georgia waterfowl, migratory bird stamp, game license, and alligator harvest permits. House Bill 433 by Representative Ballinger of the 23rd, Camp of the 135th, Rice of the 139th, Osteen of the 169th, Mathiak of the 82nd, and others, a bill relating to Georgia Crime Information Center. House Bill 434 by Representative Ballinger of the 23rd, Camp of the 135th, Rice of the 139th, Osteen of the 169th, Mathiak of the 82nd, and others, a bill relating to general provisions relative to offenses against public health and morals. House Bill 435 by Representative Ballinger of the 23rd, Camp of the 135th, Rice of the 139th, Osteen of the 169th, Mathiak of the 82nd, and others, a bill relating to sexual exploitation of children, reporting violations, civil forfeiture, and penalties. House Bill 436 by Representative Griffin of the 149th, Miller of the 62nd, Hughley of the 141st, Lim of the 98th, Williams of the 168th, and others, a bill relating to education. House Bill 437 by Representative Lim of the 98th, Cannon of the 172nd, Hong of the 103rd, Lallier of the 59th, Reeves of the 99th, and others, a bill relating to educational programs under the Quality Basic Education Act. House Bill 438 by Representative Crowe of the 118th, Lumsden of the 12th, Silcox of the 53rd, Hitchens of the 161st, Blackman of the 146th, and others, a bill relating to Employees Retirement System of Georgia. House Bill 439 by Representative Yerta of the 152nd, Dickey of the 134th, Williams of the 148th, Anderson of the 10th, Kelly of the 16th, and others, a bill relating to compensation of dealers or reporting and paying tax and reimbursement deduction. House Bill 460 by Representative Panich of the 51st, Smith of the 18th, Evans of the 57th, Holcomb of the 101st, Neal of the 79th. The bill relating to communications privilege. House Bill 461 by Representative Thomas of the 21st, Powell of the 33rd, Mathis of the 133rd, McCollum of the 30th, and Cox of the 28th. The bill relating to motor vehicles and traffic. House Resolution 250 by Representative Washburn of the 144th, Powell of the 33rd, Ridley of the 6th, Ridley of the 22nd, Stevens of the 164th, and others. Resolution proposing amendment to the Constitution so as to provide that the governing authority of any county or consolidated government shall be authorized to adopt an alternative method of appraisal and assessment of real property located within such county for taxation. House Resolution 251 by Representative New of the 40th, Abstraction of the 104th, Hughley of the 141st, Burchett of the 176th, Park of the 107th, and others. A resolution proposing amendment to the Constitution so as to provide that all probate judges shall be elected in nonpartisan elections. Senate Bill 5 by Senator Kirkpatrick of the 32nd, Walker of the 20th, Watson of the 1st, Hofstetler of the 52nd, Harbison of the 15th, and others. A bill relating to certification of private review agents. Senate Bill 47 by Senator Anna Duarte of the 31st, Brass of the 6th, Gooch of the 51st, Gann of the 47th, Robertson of the 29th, and others. A bill relating to exemptions from sales and use taxes. Senate Resolution 95 by Senator Dolezal of the 27th, Burns of the 23rd, Goodman of the 8th, Watson of the 11th, Kennedy of the 18th, and others. A resolution naming the forthcoming new legislative office complex, the Sunny Purdue Legislative Center, through second readers.
Outstanding. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Reports of standing committees, the clerk will read.
Representative Carpenter, the 4th District Chairman of the Committee on Creative Arts and Entertainment, submitted the following report. Mr. Speaker, your Committee on Creative Arts and Entertainment has had under its consideration the following bill of the House. It's instructed me to report same back to the House with the following recommendations. House Bill 353 do pass. Respectfully submitted, Representative Carpenter, the 4th District Chairman. Representative John Corbett of the 174th District, Chairman on Committee on Motor Vehicles, submitted the following report. Mr. Speaker, your Committee on Motor Vehicles has had under its consideration the following bills to the House. It's instructed me to report the same back to the House with the following recommendations. House Bill 283 do pass. House Bill 225 do pass. Respectfully submitted, Representative John Corbett of the 174th District, Chairman. That completes the reading of the reports of standing committees.
Members, we have two former members here with us on the floor today. One of them is a really good friend, Mike Walensky, former member of this house. Let's all welcome Mike back to the People's House. He did a great job while he was here. We appreciate you, Mike. And a lady just down from Southeast Georgia. In fact, she's a hometown girl. Former Representative Chair Lady Ann Purcell, who now is chair of the Department of Transportation Board. So let's all give Ann Purcell, a former member of this house, a big house welcome. And a thank you for her service to Georgia over the years. Thank you, Ann. Members, we have an invite resolution to a very special group of young people. And I want you to give your attention to the clerk and then to the member, because there's a gentleman watching you today. He's actually a former member and the chief of staff to the speaker, who is an avid supporter of young people, and especially the FFA in this state, the education and that they provide for our young people, the dedication, the life lessons. I think somebody's going to talk about it. Come on up, Representative. Mr. Clerk, will you read the caption of House Resolution 89?
House Resolution 89 by Representative Campbell, 135th, Dickey the 134th, Irwin of the 32nd, Jaspers the 11th, Meeks the 178th, and others. A resolution commending the Georgia Future Farmers of America Association and recognizing February 18, 2025 as FFA Day at the state capitol.
I'm going to, members, if you will give the lady in the well, who I'm getting ready to give the lady in the well your attention and mine as well. So give the lady in the well, Representative Beth Camp, your attention, please. Representative Camp, you're recognized.
Thank you so much, Mr. Speaker. It's an honor to be here today, and the Speaker is exactly right. Terry England and I bonded over our love of FFA when I first arrived here in 2021. The FFA does so many wonderful things, and there are so many wonderful projects the children participate in that help them become outstanding members of our society. To me, the best thing FFA does is it raises kids because it gives them opportunities to gain skills and confidence so they can go forward in the world and make good decisions and become the people we need them to be, the leaders of tomorrow. So it's my honor to introduce a number of our state officers. McKenna Blaylock, she is the state FFA secretary from Gordon County. Emma Lawrence, she's the state FFA vice president. She is from Emmanuel County. Kaysen Lynn, she is an FFA vice president from Bainbridge, and John Haven Stelvey, he's the state FFA president from Berrien County, and Representative Ford wanted me to point out that she also attends church with him. So it's an honor to be here with Ben Lastly, the executive secretary as well. If you have an opportunity to meet and chat with any of these wonderful, outstanding individuals in these beautiful blue corduroy jackets, please do, because they're going to be the ones taking our seats one day. Thank you. Thank you.
All right.
Hi, they were in.
Wait a minute. Ben, come on up here. Thank you, members. We'll move on to afternoon orders, morning orders in the afternoon. We're going to recognize Chairman Hatchett. I would limit your time, but there'd be consequences, so you take as long as you want there, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. It won't take long. Colleagues, it is my honor and pleasure to introduce a group from Lawrence County made up of future leaders from all of the Lawrence County high schools, sophomores and juniors. Dublin Lawrence Youth Leadership. If y'all will welcome them and stand up, please, so we can say hello and welcome to your capital. Thank y'all.
Yeah, I knew I threw you when I said morning orders and afternoon, but you caught up pretty fast. Chairman Noel Williams is recognized for a morning order.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I would like to recognize my group from Cordele and Crisp County that are here today, and I would like to remind members at 5 o'clock today over in the Blue Room, come by and see. We're going to have appetizers, and would love for y'all to meet our folks from Cordele and Crisp County. Thank you.
Very good group. Y'all stand up. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. School superintendent's here to make sure everybody learns a lot today. Thank you for being here. Representative Shay Roberts is recognized for a morning order.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I am proud and honored to recognize our favorite advocates in red today in the House. Moms Demand Action. Will you all stand up? This is a nonpartisan group, so y'all don't run from them. They advocate to try and reduce gun violence in this state. They represent 11 million supporters. And they're definitely moms that kind of started this, but they now include whole families, Students Demand Action, gun owners for common sense gun laws, doctors, survivors. Please take the time to listen to them. There are things we can do to reduce gun violence in this state. It's the #1 killer of our children, and it's time we take some action. Thank you all for being here today.
Thank you, Representative. Welcome to the People's House. Chairman Dickey, recognized for a morning order. Members, please give the gentleman in the well your attention, please.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and colleagues, and I've got some others going to join me who have, I want to honor our Georgia Green Industry Association. They're here today, and I think many of you have gotten a plant from them today, and so I just want to thank the Georgia Green Industry for their leadership and advocacy for Georgia's horticulture industry, representing landscape professionals, nursery growers, greenhouse operators, and for this vital role that organization plays in the industry and for our economy and our environment in our state. So their commitment to sustainability, economic growth, and community enrichment benefits all of us, all Georgians. As you visit the Capitol today, we appreciate y'all. If they're in the gallery, I'd like for them to stand. Georgia Green Industry Association, thank you for what you do.
Absolutely. They're making a difference. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Now I want to recognize the representative from Chatham County in Savannah, Representative Edna Jackson, former mayor of Savannah, and the Savannah delegation. If you'll join the lady in the well.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. It is an honor and pleasure to introduce to you a group that is very dear, Al, that is very dear to our hearts. First, let me give you, as you know, Savannah State University was founded in 1890.
Lady, if you'll suspend just for a minute.
Thank you. Thank you. As you know, Savannah State University was founded in 1890. It is the oldest historically black institution in the state of Georgia, located on the banks of the water that we have in our community. We are honored today to we are having Savannah State University Day. I'm sorry y'all missed out on the shrimp and grits, and we had plenty of it. But it's my pleasure to introduce you. I mean, a whole lot, didn't we, Al? It is my pleasure first to introduce our illustrious president, Ms. Cynthia Alexander. If you will please rise. And along with the president, we also have the students of Savannah State University, the alumni of Savannah State University, department heads and administrators of Savannah State University. Mr. Chairman, thank you for affording me this opportunity to have my institution come and celebrate Savannah State University Day. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor, Representative. Madam President, welcome. And everyone from Savannah State, we appreciate y'all making the trip and being here with us. Thank you. Welcome to the People's House. Chairman Werkheiser, recognized for an order.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Got one of your favorite groups here. CSG, which is the Council of State Governments. Most of you old-timers know them as the Southern Legislative Conference. Every summer they have a great conference. Last year we were in West Virginia, and I want to bring up just to show you how valuable they are. Mr. Speaker, you were on a panel with a young gentleman who was trying to bring a business to Georgia, and he looked at you and said, when we were looking at barriers to providing child care and other issues, we decided to go to North Carolina, and I know that hurt you as much as it did me. So I emailed them and I said, hey, could I get a chart of the southern states and our regulations surrounding that very issue? Within a week, I got this big printout of all the rules and regulations for corporations providing child care. And that's the kind of reports and stuff they can churn out within a few days. So put July 19th through 22nd, and without even asking you, Mr. Speaker, I'm sure you're going to be there in Birmingham, Alabama. But put that down. It's a great time to find out what other states are doing on the very issues that you're working on. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I guarantee you I'll be there, and I welcome you all to join Speaker Nathaniel Ledbetter in Alabama for a great event with a great group, and we need to take advantage of them. You're right, Mr. Chairman. They have a storehouse of information, and we appreciate CSG. And since you say it's an old timer, I thought it was SLC, so CSG, thanks for that. Let's see. Representative Berry and Representative Sheila Jones. Representative Jones and Representative Berry. There is Representative Berry. Recognized for a morning order.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Want to take this time today to rise to acknowledge the students of Clark Atlanta and alumni of Clark Atlanta University. It is also Clark Atlanta University Day here at the Capitol. They might be over at their friends in the Senate, but if we can still give them a round of applause for Clark Atlanta students that are here today joining us. Founded in 1988, its vibrancy represents the heart of District 56, and we have one of our very own, Representative Sheila Jones, who's an alum of the illustrious Clark Atlanta University. So thank you, Clark Atlanta, for being here with us at the Capitol today. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Let's see, we have a whole slew of you coastal boys. Let's see if we can get y'all up here before we get started. Representative Townsend, Saines, Burchett, Deloach. What's McDonald doing in there? Has he moved to the coast?
Yes, sir, Mr. Speaker. Just as a second home kind of situation. He doesn't have a home down there yet, but you think he does, but it's often he visits.
Well, yes, okay.
You are an adopted coastal guy. He doesn't even wear socks usually down there. But anyway, welcome, colleagues. Afternoon order, morning orders. Just want to remind you tonight. First, welcome our Golden Isles group that was here. We've got over 50 coming in. Leadership Glenn, the Golden Isles Chamber of Commerce, and business people. They're all here around the Capitol, somewhere on the floor a few minutes ago. Tonight's a Low Country Boil. I believe most people like the Georgia white shrimp. I believe the official crustacean of the state of Georgia. Hey. That's right, Al, and we're looking forward to seeing everybody tonight at the depot. We appreciate it. And anybody else, guys? Again, thank you, and we're looking forward to seeing you tonight.
Are those Georgia wild shrimp?
Yes, sir. Georgia wild shrimp.
All right.
What time is it? 5 o'clock, starting at 5, guys. Low Country Bowl starting at 5 o'clock tonight at the depot.
We appreciate it. Y'all start peeling. We're going to move on to the rules calendar. Members, we're going to take up House Resolution 42, which is very important to the people of Georgia, has been. So I'm going to recognize Governor's Floor Leader, Representative Matthew Gamble, to present House Bill 42. Mr. Clerk, will you read the caption?
House Resolution number 42 by Representative Gamble, the 15th, and others, a resolution ratifying Governor Brian P. Kemp's executive orders number 10-1-24-2, 10-8-24-1, and 10-15-24-1, suspending the collection of motor fuel and diesel fuel taxes.
Representative Gamble, I think the clerk got me back. So I think I said House Bill, but certainly House Resolution 42. The gentleman is recognized to present House Resolution 42. The gentleman is recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Colleagues, I rise today to present to you House Resolution 42, which is on behalf of Governor Kemp, to ratify the temporary suspension of the collection of motor fuel and diesel fuel taxes in response to his 3 executive orders in October of 2024 declaring a state of emergency for Hurricane Helene. This is being done because this is a procedural matter that we need to take up. During that time, the governor consulted with the leadership of our legislature on these suspensions, which saved Georgians between $140 to $160 million at the gas pumps during that time, as we all were feeling the impacts of Hurricane Helene. Just like previous resolutions, this one simply ratifies what the governor has already done, and this is a necessary procedure that we need to take up. And again, through the governor's executive actions, which were issued in consultation with the leadership, the collective efforts to conservatively manage our state's budget has allowed us the opportunity to help lessen the burden of a horrific natural disaster. With that, Mr. Speaker, I'm happy to answer any questions there may be on House Resolution 42 and ask for your favorable consideration.
The gentleman has no questions.
Thank you. I yield the well.
Gentleman's yielded the well. Is there any objection to the previous question being ordered? Hearing none, the previous question is ordered. Is there any objection to agreeing to the report of the committee, which was favorable to the adoption of the resolution? Chair hears none. The report of the committee is agreed to. Shall this resolution now be adopted? All in favor of the adoption of the resolution will vote yes. All those opposed will vote no. And Mr. Clerk, will you unlock the machine? For what purpose does Representative Hong rise?
Parliamentary inquiry.
State your inquiry.
Mr. Speaker, is it not true that previous suspensions of motor fuel taxes have demonstrated clear benefits for Georgia's economy and citizens by keeping more money in the hands of everyday Georgians?
I think the lady knows what she speaks, and we appreciate it. It's benefited all Georgians in a very meaningful manner. Have all members voted? All members voted. If so, the clerk will lock the machine. On the adoption of House Resolution 42, the yeas are 172, the nays are 0. The resolution, having received the requisite constitutional majority, is therefore adopted. Mr. Clerk, will you read the caption of House Bill 223?
House Bill 223 by Representative Burchett of the 176 to be entitled an act to amend Title 48 of the Official Code of Georgia annotated relating to revenue and taxation so as to exclude from the calculation of taxable net income certain disaster relief or assistance grant program payments. This bill having referred to the Committee on Ways and Means, that committee recommends that this bill do pass by committee substitute.
Will Burchett is recognized to present the bill.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. All right, folks, I have the first of what I hope to be many bills seeking to help in the relief of Hurricane Helene's damage. I'm going to start by giving you a little story and then run through the measures in the bill and then ask for your favorable consideration. But first, I want to thank this House. I want to thank the Speaker and Leader Epstration and Leader Hughley for all of the support that this chamber gave South Georgia and during Hurricane Helene. The outpouring of love via water, food, diapers, formula was significant, and I can tell you I very much appreciated all of your help. And when we needed help, like the pastor said this morning, the first people to respond were just neighbors and friends. Calls from no one asked, what party you were or pointed out any differences. They just got there to help, and I very, very much appreciate this body for doing what they did. With that said, as the sun set on that September evening, the horizon was painted with eerie stillness, and the storms rolled in. If you recall, it was not supposed to, the track of the storm was tracking west, and it turned last minute to the east. And for my family, the winds were howling like a freight train. I had both of my boys and my wife in the bathroom, and we hunkered down through the night, and very seldom do I ever get nervous about a storm. And folks, let me tell you, this storm was bad, was terrible. I started rethinking the fact of not moving out, and I've been through several of these hurricanes. As we woke up, we had a different skyline to look at. Everything, I live on a farm, and it looked nothing like it did when I went to sleep. In fact, we just bought a new vehicle, and we hadn't got insurance on it because they closed off insurance. And I had a pine tree sitting this far from my wife's car. And Lord, thank you for not crushing that, because I don't think I could have lived that down. But overnight, the agricultural community found a loss of $5.6 billion. That's how much damage from the Florida state line to the South Carolina state line we found with Hurricane Helene. You're talking about chicken houses, livestock barns, trees. It looked like a tornado hit. It looked like a tornado hit everywhere. It doesn't look anything like it did. The devastation was widespread, and it hit the heart of what I consider Georgia. Everybody's part of Georgia is their favorite part of the state, but this is family farms that were hit significantly. Whole stands of 100 acres of trees were completely laying down. We're talking about 30-year-old trees someone's invested their life savings in and was counting on that as a retirement plan, are now gone. And we have Valdosta State down there that had this beautiful stand of pine trees, and there's not one pine tree in Valdosta State right now. And you're talking about huge trees. The recovery started that day, like I said, and you all are a big part of that, and we're still recovering. If you haven't had a chance to get down there and take a look. It's going to take years and years to recover from this storm. And my whip over there is giving me the hurry up, so you guys are getting tired and glass-eyed, and I appreciate that. So I'll get to the bill. What the bill seeks to do is essentially what we did in Hurricane Michael. In 2018, Governor Deal in the General Assembly laid out language that sought to not make whole, but try and help out with the damages there. Now, Governor Brian Kemp and this House is leading with House Bill 223. The bill aims to address the devastation and the loss of the agricultural community in three main components. First, it exempts disaster relief payments. Any payments received for disaster relief, it exempts them from state income tax as well as crop insurance. The second section of the bill allows timber owners a tax credit for the loss that they found. They only are allowed to take the tax credit if they replant. And then lastly, it exempts the sales tax for building materials for any livestock buildings, like a poultry house or a livestock barn. That's pretty much the bill, Mr. Speaker. I hope that everybody can support it. I hope for your favorable consideration of the bill. This is one, like I said, of many to come. I do want to point out one gentleman. The day after the storm, Leader Administration and Sam West started working on language for this bill, and he saw fit to allow me to carry the bill, because it was in my district. But I really want to tell you I appreciate you for working on the bill. Again, this is what we did in Michael. It's a rerun, and I hope that this General Assembly will pass this bill and give some relief to our number one industry, and that is agriculture in the state of Georgia. And with that, Mr. Speaker, I don't want to belabor the point.
You have a couple of questions if the gentleman will yield.
I will.
Chair recognizes the gentleman from the 68th District, Representative Jackson. Representative Derek Jackson is recognized for a question.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Do you yield?
I do.
Is it not true that we need to pass House Bill 223 because the Trump administration just declined our FEMA requests?
I don't know that that's the reason we need to pass it, but I do agree with you. We do need to pass it. It's important that we get some relief to our farmers and our ag community, and I appreciate your affirmative vote.
Do you further yield?
Sure. Yeah, I do.
So it's imperative that this $200 million that House Bill 223 outlines is just a small increment of assistance. So we still need the federal government to show up. Is that not true?
It is true that there's $200 million in this bill in the aggregate for tax credits, and I appreciate your support on the bill.
One more, do you yield?
I do.
Is it not true that FEMA plays a very central role to Georgia, because the number of hurricanes or tornadoes we get, we can't simply continue to pass House Bill 223 any other time because we need FEMA to be there for Georgians. Is that not true?
Well, Representative, I can't speak for what they do in D.C., but I certainly hope that I can speak for this chamber in supporting 223.
Gentleman yield.
He does.
To your left, Representative Kelly from the 16th has a question.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Would the gentleman yield?
I do, to my friend.
First, I want to tell you thank you for bringing this measure. Up in North Georgia, we didn't see the disaster that y'all had, but we certainly felt it with y'all, and still praying for y'all as y'all recover. But is it not true that this bill has similar language that we've passed previously for Hurricane Michael?
It is.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Gentleman has two more questions if he'll yield.
Two more questions. Yes, sir.
The lady from the 108th, Representative Jasmine Clark, to your left.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Does the gentleman yield?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you so much for bringing this bill. I understand how hurricanes, and we've seen a lot of them. I've lived in Georgia my entire life, and I feel like we're seeing a lot more of these incidences. I'm just curious, so this bill is very specific to timber. Has there been any contemplation about helping just regular everyday Georgians who might also benefit from some type of tax credit? Because you mentioned like insurance, you mentioned property damage, all those things. This seems to be very specific for one set one industry. Is there any contemplation of helping those just Georgians down in that area?
Well, I thank you for the question, and I would submit to you that timber owners in South Georgia are normal tax-paying Georgians. But I do get your point, and I do believe that there are a myriad of these types of bills in the works. In fact, I've been talking and pleading with my roommate, chairman of Ways and Means, here's some more of my bills. But we've got a lot working on it, and I certainly appreciate your pointing that out.
All right, thank you so much.
The gentleman yield to his roommate. I figured y'all could have worked this out back home, but gentleman yield.
I do.
Representative Blackman is recognized for a question.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Does the gentleman yield?
Gentleman does yield.
Isn't it true that you have championed several measures, not only this one, that will help those victims of Helene and disaster across Georgia?
That's my roommate right there, coming up for the save. I do.
Is it not further true that House Bill 223 will ensure that these disaster relief funds will go directly and fully in the pockets of those that have been devastated the most by this?
100%, yes, sir. And with that, Mr. Speaker, I yield the well.
Gentleman is yielded the well. We have a speaker on the bill. Chair recognizes Chairman Hatchett to speak to House Bill 223. Give the gentleman your attention, please.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Colleagues, I have not planned on doing this today, but listening to the questions, listening to our pastor today, just put this on me that I needed to come say something. Those of you who did not experience the 2 a.m. wake-up call of destruction do not know what we in the area and in the line of this storm experienced. It was scary. It made you question your life. Am I going to make it through this? It was real. I mean, and I can't describe it. I never felt like I would experience that, and it didn't stop. It came, and it got quiet, and it came back. I have never seen the destruction that this storm did to our state. Never. No one has. And this is just a small portion of what I think we should be doing for the citizens of our state. And I will continue to try to work to do something to help those that still have not received any help in this storm. There are many blue tarps still keeping rain out of people's homes and what's left of them. There were over 1,000 homes in my county that were determined unlivable, and I was on the edge. So, people, we need to help where we can. This means something to those that lost something and lost everything. I don't know what all we can do, but everything we can do will be appreciated, and I thank you all for supporting this and helping those citizens, not only in the district that I'm honored to serve, but the many across South, Middle, and Eastern Georgia that this will benefit. Thank you, and I yield the will.
Gentleman's yielded the well. As always, Representative Hatchett has a big heart, and we appreciate your service and what you do as you recognize the loss of so many people across Georgia. And we look forward to working with you on that. There's no further questions, no further comments, no further speakers. Is there any objection to the previous question being ordered? Chair hears none. The previous question is ordered. Is there any objection to adopting the committee substitute? Hearing none, the committee substitute is adopted. Is there any objection to agreeing to the report of the committee which is favorable to the passage of the bill? Hearing none, the report of the committee is agreed to. Shall this bill now pass? All in favor of the passage of the bill will vote yes. All those opposed will vote no. And Mr. Clerk, will you unlock the machine? Have all members voted? For what purpose does Representative Hagan rise?
Parliamentary inquiry.
State your inquiry.
Mr. Speaker, isn't it true that when we help our ag producers in this state that we're actually helping every single Georgian in this state?
I think the lady knows what she speaks. She understands the industry. For what purpose does Chairman Meeks rise? He waves. Have all members now voted? All members voted. Mr. Clerk, will you lock the machine on the passage of the bill? The yeas are the passage of House Bill 223. The yeas are 173. The nays are 0. This bill, having received the requisite constitutional majority, is therefore passed. Thank you, members. Many Georgians appreciate that. Mr. Clerk, will you read the caption to House Bill 9292?
House Bill 92 by Representative Blackman and the 146 and others, to be entitled an act to amend Code Section 48.544.2 of the Official Code of Georgia annotated relating to base year homestead exemptions so as to postpone the date by which local governing authorities are authorized to opt out. This bill having referred to the Committee on Ways and Means, that committee recommends that this bill do pass by Rules Committee substitute.
Chairman Blackman is recognized to present House Bill 92. Representative Blackman.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Fellow members, bring before you House Bill 92, which, having met and talked to many of you and a lot of your local officials, this is a cleanup to the homestead exemption piece, HB 581, that passed this body overwhelmingly, and then again via the CA in November. Designed to protect homeowners from exceedingly high property tax assessments and also property tax owners in general. So there are several pieces to this bill. Go through on the cleanup side that are listed. There was not an area defined around the homestead consistent with other pieces of legislation. That is a 5-acre add to this bill. There are some changes to the notice that would clarify and clean up the timing as to when that would come forward, and if what would happen if local governments did not provide the the rollback estimated rollback rate. There's a provision that would allow for the filing of an exemption during the appeal process. It would also allow spousal survivability of one's homestead exemption without an additional filing. And then finally, there is a date change. It would, I think, hopefully give the locals some more time to understand the value of allowing taxpayers to keep more of their money and extend this out to March 31st for that opt-out period, also allowing them to opt back in during that period have they already opted out. I do want to thank so many of the people that had a chance to talk to along these lines, and I know that the question that has come up repeatedly is, you know, there's what's in this for us? There's nothing in this for us. Right, Representative Williams? And I say this is tax relief is intended for the taxpayer, not the tax collector. And I know that several measures have come up today. And Mr. Speaker, if I may, I just want to thank you for championing tax relief for hardworking Georgians all across this state. Be happy to stand for questions if there are any.
I'm going to allow 2 questions, and those buttons are already pushed. We have some other things we need to do today. I'm going to recognize Representative Kelly to your left, the gentleman from the 16th House District, for a question. Representative Kelly.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Will the gentleman yield?
Do I need to yield? Yes, sir, I'll yield.
Mr. Chairman, thank you for your work on this measure. I think this is, combined with 581, provides our taxpayers with the greatest opportunity we've seen in decades. But isn't it true that in this legislation, all we're doing is extending a time period for our locals to make the right decision and opt in, stay in, but we're not touching the exemption itself?
Yes, sir. That is correct. Other than the little bit of cleanup that we've been asked to provide by several of the stakeholders involved. Thank you for the question.
Gentleman, yield for another one.
Yes, sir, Mr. Speaker.
Representative Al Williams, since you referenced him as a mentor, I'm going to let him ask a question.
You're too kind, Mr. Speaker. Will the gentleman yield?
Yes, sir, for you.
Is it not true that I do support this extension? Is it not further true that I would hope that we would take the time to really, really explain this bill that has had so many misreferences throughout, that we explain the benefits as it relates to taxpayers, and let's try and get ahead of social media and get to truth on this bill.
Indeed, the representative knows of what he speaks. Thank you, sir.
We're almost there. If you'll yield for another one, the gentleman knows a little bit about local government. I'm going to recognize Representative Chaz Cannon to your right.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Does the gentleman yield?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Is it not true that if all the cities in a county opt into 581 in addition to the county, that the citizens in that county would be able to realize a significant reduction in their property taxes?
Yes, that is absolutely true. In fact, I think what we found in total of this bill, that as many as 2/3 of the cities could eliminate their property tax, and a number of counties could do that as well.
Let's see if this last one helps with that social media. Representative Carter Barrett is recognized for a question. If the gentleman will yield.
Does the gentleman yield?
To my seatmate, yes, sir.
Thank you, sir. Isn't it true that you will be happy if you never hear the term opt-out again?
100% accurate. Mr. Speaker, I believe I'll yield the well.
I think that'd be a good point. We appreciate all those questions. And Mr. Chairman, thank you for your work, your very conscientious work on certainly very complicated issues like this one. Is there any objection to the previous question being ordered? Hearing none, the previous question is ordered. Is there any objection to withdrawing the committee substitute? Chair hears none, the committee substitute is withdrawn. Is there any objection to adopting the substitute offered by the Committee on Rules? Hearing none, the Rules Committee substitute is adopted. Is there any objection to agreeing to the report of the committee, which was favorable to the passage of the bill? Hearing none, the report of the committee is agreed to. Shall this bill now pass? All in favor of the passage of the bill will vote yes. All those opposed will vote no. And Mr. Clerk, will you unlock the machine? Have all members voted? All members voted. If so, the clerk will lock the machine. On the passage of the bill, the yeas are 100. On the passage of House Bill 92, the yeas are 173. The nays are 1. The bill, having received the requisite constitutional majority, is therefore passed. Mr. Clerk, will you read the caption to a group of privileged resolutions?
Honoring the life and memory of Cornelius LaShawn Taylor. Honoring the life and memory of Jimmy Chang. congratulating Leo Mazzoni upon his induction to the Georgia Sports Hall of Fame, recognizing and commending Dr. Norris Price, recognizing February 19, 2025 as Nurses Day at the State Capitol, recognizing and commending Ringling Brothers Barnum and Bailey, and recognizing and commending the 2024 Technical College System of Georgia Award winners, recognizing February 20th, 2025 as Community Health Centers Day, and commending the Georgia Primary Care Association, congratulating and commending Mr. Nicholas Rucker, congratulating and commending Ms. Rhea Brashear, congratulating and commending Mr. Sharoko Farley, congratulating and commending Ms. Patria Brown, recognizing April 30th, 2025 as No Kill Awareness Day at the State Capitol, congratulating the Woodbine Opry upon its 25th anniversary, commending W.S. Hutchins College and Career Academy and Principal Dr. Cassandra Washington, commending Mercer University and recognizing February 20th, 2025 as Mercer University Day at the State Capitol, commending Dr. Whitney N. Blanco, commending Stacy Samidi, commending Sherrod Davis, commending Alicia Lytle, commending Patience Babajid, commending Lanisha Roberts, commending Kristen Bell, commending Evan Marie Carr, commending Denise N. Smith, and recognizing and commending Linda Henderson on her outstanding public service. And for other purposes, that completes the reading of the privilege resolutions.
Is there any objection to adopting the privileged resolution? Hearing none, the resolutions are adopted. We'll move on to afternoon orders. Representative Anisha Jones is recognized for an afternoon order. Give the lady your attention, please. Representative Jones. There she comes. Make way for the lady. Come down the center aisle. Representative is recognized.
Thank you, Speaker. I carried the load round, thinking I had to be the best that I could be, always doing things just right to set an example for other people who would come in behind me, especially women. Those are the words of Gladys West. She was born in rural Virginia. Gladys West spent her childhood helping her parents on the farm. As she grew up, she dedicated her time to her education and graduated valedictorian of her high school in 1948. Shortly after receiving a master's degree in mathematics, she took a position as a computer programmer and project manager for data processing systems at the Naval Proving Ground. In the 1970s and 1980s, she programmed an IBM to model the shape of the earth, and her data became the foundation for the Global Positioning System, better known as GPS, that has become a vital component of our daily lives. So when you're lost, or when you need directions to your favorite coffee shop using Waze, thank Gladys West for getting you there safely. I yield the well.
Chairman Jaspers and Representative McDonald are recognized. Members of the House, you need to pay attention to the transportation chair, because this is important about how we properly move forward, and the vice chair of the committee as we talk about road namings, the process. There is a process, so please give the gentleman your attention.
Okay, members, take a look on your desk. You'll see a sheet just like this. Now, fold it up, put it in your desk, take it with you, or come see me to get another one at some other time. But this is how you name a road. And as I go through this, I didn't do this. I have the best policy analyst that many of us share, Abby Day. She helps us do these things, and she's our key person in road naming. You know, the committee has a number of rules about road naming.
and we'll help you get through it. But I can't emphasize enough, this is an honor, a responsibility that you have. And you better take it serious or it'll bite you. And because one thing that comes to people talk to me about is, who can I name a road after? Think about it. It's got to be somebody with national prominence. You kind of know what that is. Or somebody that's been a very impactful person in your community, commissioners, whatever, that's up for you to decide, but decide carefully. It's not just because you're friends with so-and-so. I wouldn't do that. You have plenty of time to get this done. There are 3 steps. You've got to do them. You've got to do them carefully and do them right for us to pass through. But I can't emphasize enough, it's a powerful opportunity in your community to honor someone. And I'm going to turn it over to my Vice Chairman, Laura McDonald, and he'll tell you how powerful it is.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, Mr. Speaker, ladies and gentlemen of the House. It is powerful. To do this is an honor for us to pick that person in our community. And just recently, first of the year, we had somebody that was just a pillar of the community, Mr. Bobby Thomas. He was unfortunately a Georgia Tech grad. And of course, my family business, we did the service, and his family made me wear a Georgia Tech tie for 3 days, and it was the most painful experience I ever had. But I did it for the family. This gentleman he served in our United States Navy, and while he was doing that, he met the love of his life, Miss Brenda Pugh, and he owned a business. They supplied cedar for all over the Southeast. So when you're thinking about that pillar in your community and what you want to say to that person, I had my chairman says, hey, have you ever written somebody a note? So if you can look up on the screen, you can see I wrote Mr. Thomas a note reminding him what he meant to the community, what an honor it was for me to honor him with this road naming. And so at his service, they had turned it around, and when the family framed it right after the road naming, but at his service, they took it back to the framer. And the note that I had written him was so powerful to them that that's how they're going to leave that hanging on their wall in their home. And so when you're doing these road naming, it's so important to write these people a note on the back of the sign because it meant so much to this family. Thank you for your time. I yield the well.
I hope all of the members understand how you exercise this important honor that we have, and a great privilege to name part of our transportation system to honor someone. I'm going to ask Representative Reese and the Columbus delegation, all members of the Columbus delegation, to come forward. Gentlemen, will hold just for a moment. Members, if you will, let's all stand as condolences are expressed for a passing in the community. Judge Allen. I think we have everyone done with Representative Reese, the entire delegation. Gentlemen, proceed.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, today we come before you with solid hearts that are hurting all the way from Columbus, Georgia. For we lost a phenomenal person in our community. Former longtime Muskogee County Senior Court Judge John Allen died at the age of 82. He was Chief Judge of the Chattahoochee Circuit for 2 decades before retiring in 2013. He was a Columbus native that spent over 30 years on the bench. He grew up in one of the local housing projects there in Columbus, Georgia. So you can imagine what a hero he was in the community to so many different people. He was respected as a trailblazer and often praised for his fair but compassionate approach to the law and those who came before his court. Today we stand here to remember him. Today we stand here to solidify his legacy. Today we stand here to acknowledge the things he was able to overcome, like attending then segregated Spencer High School in Columbus, Georgia, and graduating from the Tuskegee University in Tuskegee, Alabama, and becoming an Air Force fighter pilot during Vietnam, an attorney, and eventually a judge. If you will please join me in a moment of silence as Muskogee County and the Chattahoochee Judicial Circuit remember one of our stalwarts, one of our leaders, one of our giants in the legal community. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I yield the well.
Representative Roman is recognized for an afternoon order.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. And colleagues, on Thursday afternoon, we heard sort of two differing assessments of an ongoing lawsuit related to Section 504 that provides disability protections. And I was curious because when we come down here, we tend to disagree, we tend to, talk about issues. And so I decided to look up the lawsuit myself. And why do I share this story? Because I think sometimes we lose sight of the fact that in this political world, we can actually go and read things for ourselves. We have access to primary sources. And in a moment like that, when we disagree on something like this that impacts so many people around our state, we have a responsibility to fact check what we say. In the case of the lawsuit on Section 504, on page 42, it very explicitly states that one of the remedies being requested is that Section 504 be deemed unconstitutional. It is one sentence in a very small list. All I'm asking is that during times like these, when people might be scared or worried about how something impacts them, that we don't inadvertently lull them into a false sense of security, and then they are unable to prepare for what's to come. That is my only ask of all of you. That is my afternoon order for today. And as a reminder to everybody, to please check in with your constituents on issues like 504 and other resources they have been using to make life easier for them and their families. Thank you.
Lady yields the will. Representative Hilton is recognized for an afternoon order.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I've been in politics or elected office close to a decade now, and this might be saying a lot, but one of the most shameful things I've seen in my time in office is what took place this past week and over the weekend, and that is political partisan groups fomenting fear, confusion, and frankly misinformation in regards to the 504 plan and what's happening. Again, I got up here Thursday, and I'm going to say the same thing I said on Thursday. To the special needs community, your 504 plan is not at risk. There is a line in a lawsuit that the Attorney General signed that does say in black and white, we want to declare it unconstitutional. However, if anyone with any level of intellectual honesty went to dig in deeper into the entire lawsuit, spoke to the AG, spoke to educational professionals, you will quickly and easily find that all agree that no one is in fact trying to take away the 504 program. In fact, we are trying to protect it against a gender ideology movement that is trying to take away precious resources from our state's most vulnerable. It is wrong then. It is why Georgia is suing. We are suing to protect the integrity and the funding of the Special Needs 504 program. And anyone who wants to get up and say anything different is just spewing misinformation. So again, I'll say it one more time to our families out there. Here in Georgia, we are fighting for you, and we are fighting for your access to the 504 against federal overreach, and we'll continue to keep fighting for you. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I yield the well.
Representative Fry, Representative Spencer Fry from Athens is recognized for an afternoon. Give the gentleman your attention, please, for an afternoon order. Representative Fry.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Ladies and gentlemen, earlier today I was able to put a letter on your desk, and it's a letter I wrote to my dad on Friday. My dad passed away about 2017. Y'all don't have to stand up or anything. I never thought to recognize him over here, and didn't think he really, he didn't carry the way. And I'm not going to go into the letter, but I think if you take a second to take a look at it, you will understand exactly what I'm trying to say. Is that we were all raised differently than what we're following our folks in D.C. acting like. And I just want to give you one paragraph, because I'm not here to judge, I'm not here to lambaste, I'm not here to do anything. I'm not here to talk about the 504 plan. But I'm going to read this little paragraph to my father. And I wrote, Dad, I also know you wouldn't want me to lose hope. You tell me that love is still stronger than hate, that even in the darkest times there are still good people trying to do the right thing. You'd remind me that our job isn't to despair. It's to fight for what is right, to be the hands and the feet of the gospel, to keep showing up for people just like we did all those years ago. Ladies and gentlemen, I ask you to keep those words in your heart. Republican, Democrat, Independent, whatever you are, sitting up in the gallery, listening to it in the hallway, keep those words in your heart. God bless the state of Georgia, and thank you very much. I yield the well.
Thank you. And thank God for good parents. And you had a good dad, sounds like to me. Thank you, Representative. Representative Wade is recognized for an afternoon order. Gentleman's recognized.
Thank you, Speaker. I just want to give a shout out to some excellent students back home working hard in their schools today. But these athletes recently in my district, District 9, we have some state champions. First of all, I'd like to highlight the Lumpkin County High School women's wrestling team for my friends in South Georgia. Yep, that's tussling. It's okay, you can laugh. And but 2 3-time individual champs, Nathan Nielsen, 3-time, Greta Gerbosovas, 3-time, her sister, Nora, state champ this year too, and then Nathan's brother, Xander, also a state champ, and Mike Nichols, runner-up. For Dawson County, we have a freshman, Parker Voss, individual state champion, and White County finished 4th place in the state. We know how to wrestle in North Georgia, and so just remember that. I'll wrestle a bill now and again, too. Thank you, Speaker. Way to go, Dawson, Lumpkin, and White County. Thanks.
Congratulations. That completes afternoon orders. Chairman Crow, are you on the floor? Go to your seat, please. For what purpose does Representative Stevens rise? Representative Ron Stevens. Would you like to make a motion?
I'd like to make a motion.
State that motion then.
Mr. Speaker, I'll move that House Bill 317 and H.R. 172 be moved from the Government Affairs Committee to the Tax Writing Ways and Means Committee.
Just do one at a time and we'll go that way.
Thank you.
Let's stay with HB 317. Is that?
Yes, sir.
The representatives move that House Bill 317 be withdrawn from the Governmental Affairs Committee and recommitted to the Ways and Means Committee. Mr. Clerk, will you read the caption?
House Bill 317 by Representative Stevens, 164th, being titled an act to amend Title 36 of the Official Code of Georgia annotated relating to local government.
On the gentleman's motion that HB 317 be withdrawn from the Governmental Affairs Committee and recommitted to the Ways and Means Committee, is there any objection? Hearing none, it is so ordered. For what purpose does Representative Stevens remain standing?
Make a motion.
State your motion.
I move that H.R. 192 be moved from the Government Affairs Committee to the Ways and Means Committee.
Mr. Clerk, will you read the caption?
House Resolution 192 by Representative Stevens, the 164th, proposing an amendment to the Constitution so as to authorize the General Assembly to provide by general law for the creation and comprehensive regulation of community development districts.
On the gentleman's motion that House Resolution 192 be withdrawn from the Governmental Affairs Committee and recommitted to the Ways and Means Committee, is there objection? Hearing none, is so ordered. For what purpose does Representative Corbett rise?
To make a motion.
State your motion.
Mr. Speaker, I move to recommit House Bill 208 from the Rules Committee back to the Motor Vehicles Committee.
Mr. Clerk, will you read the caption?
House Bill number 208 by Representative Smith of the 70th to be entitled an act to amend Code Section 40-286 of the Official Code of Georgia annotated relating to license plates promoting or supporting certain agencies.
On the gentleman's motion that HB 208 be recommitted from the Rules Committee back to the Motor Vehicles Committee, is there objection? Hearing none, is so ordered. For what purpose does Representative Leverett rise?
To make a motion.
State your motion.
Mr. Speaker, I move that House Bill 406 be withdrawn from the Judiciary Committee and recommitted to the Retirement Committee. Both chairmen agree.
Mr. Clerk, will you read the caption?
House Bill 406 by Representative Leverett of the 122nd to be entitled an act to amend Chapter 23, Title 47 of the Official Code of Georgia annotated relating to the Georgia Judicial Retirement System.
On the gentleman's motion that House Bill 159 be withdrawn from the Budget and Fiscal Affairs Is that right here? Oh, no. There's that one. Nobody's paying attention anyway, were you? On the gentleman's motion that House Bill 406 be withdrawn from the Judiciary Committee and recommitted to the Retirement Committee, is there objection? Hearing none, it is so ordered. For what purpose does Representative Crowe rise?
To make a motion.
State your motion.
I move that House Bill 159 be moved from the Budget and Fiscal Affairs Oversight Committee and recommitted to the Banks and Banking Committee. Both chairmen are in agreement.
That was the one I was looking for. That's the last one. Mr. Clerk, will you read the caption? We need to wait just a minute on that one. Mr. Clerk, will you read the caption of House Bill 159?
House Bill 159 by Representative Crowe, the 118th, to be entitled an act to amend Chapter 26 and Title 50 of the Official Code of Georgia annotated relating to the Georgia Housing and Finance Authority.
On the gentleman's motion that House Bill 159 be withdrawn from the Budget and Fiscal Affairs Oversight Committee and recommitted to the Banks and Banking Committee, is there objection? Hearing none, is so ordered. For what purpose does the Majority Leader rise?
Make a motion.
State your motion.
I move that House Bill 92 be immediately transmitted to the Senate.
Is there objection? Hearing none, is so ordered. Members, we have pages today. We have a number of announcements. This may help with some of those announcements. Committee meetings that were scheduled at 2 will now be moved back 1 hour. 1 hour. So if you had a committee meeting at 2, it will get started in just a few minutes. We're almost done. Chairman Chokus is recognized for an announcement. Then we have Chairman Parsons, Green, Deloach, Thomas, Cooper, Taylor, Irwin, and Hong be on deck. Representative Chokus.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. The House Small Business Development Committee will be meeting tomorrow morning at 8 a.m. 8 a.m. We will have, in 506 CLOB, we'll have a presentation by the Realtors Association of Georgia. Hope everyone can make it. Tomorrow morning, 8 a.m., 506. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
506, 8 a.m. Chairman Parsons, recognized for an announcement.
Thank you, Chairman. Thank you, Speaker. Energy, Utilities, and Telecommunications scheduled to meet at 3, so we'll meet right upon adjournment. We do have a bill in there. Appreciate y'all being there so we can get this done and move on. Thank you.
Chairman Green is recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. The State Properties Committee will not meet today. We will meet tomorrow at 1 p.m. and take up the 2 bills. Thank you.
Chairman Deloach is recognized. Chairman Deloach. I'll say it better.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. The Regulated Industry Subcommittee on Occupational and Professional Licensing will meet upon adjournment in 506 CLOB.
Chairman Brad Thomas is recognized for an announcement.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Government Affairs Subcommittee on State and Local Government will meet in 4:15 upon adjournment. Immediately after state and local government, we'll have elections. Thank you.
Chairlady Cooper is recognized for an announcement.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Health and Human Services will meet today on room 606 as soon as we can get out of the chamber. So if you'll go straight over, it'll be greatly appreciated. Thank you very much.
Chairman Dickey is recognized for an announcement, not a motion, an announcement.
Mr. Speaker, Agriculture and Consumer Affairs Committee will meet in the morning at 8 o'clock, 606 CLOB. Thank you.
Did you say 6 o'clock?
No, sir. That would be okay with me, but we got a lot of work to do in the morning at 8 o'clock. Thank you.
Just checking. Chairlady Cooper. There we go. Let's get it right this time. Ladies recognized.
Thanks, Mr. Speaker. Public and Community Health will meet at 2 o'clock. The Public and Community Health Committee will meet at 2 o'clock in 606. I said it wrong the last time. See you there. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Chairlady Taylor, recognized for an announcement.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I have 2 announcements. Immediately upon adjournment, the Health Appropriations Subcommittee will be meeting in CLOB 406. That's the Appropriations Health Committee will be meeting. And then tomorrow morning, we will be meeting for the Insurance Subcommittee on Life and Health. The Insurance Subcommittee on Life and Health at 8 o'clock in the morning at 4:15. CLOB 4:15. Thank you.
Remember, members, if you have a page, join me down here as soon as we adjourn. Chairman Irwin is recognized for an announcement.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Education Committee will meet upon adjournment in room 341. Again, upon adjournment, the Education Committee, room 341. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you. Representative Hong, recognized for an announcement.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Judiciary Non-Civil Hong Subcommittee will meet upon adjournment in room 132. Thank you.
Representative Carter, Representative Doreen Carter is recognized for an announcement.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Good afternoon. I would like for everyone who wore their heritage attire today to join us at the well upon adjournment so that we can take a picture. Thank you.
Heritage attire at the well immediately upon adjournment. For what purpose is Chairman Dickey rise.
To make a motion, Mr. Speaker.
State your motion, sir.
I move that the rules be temporarily suspended so bill may be read for the first time and assigned to committee.
Mr. Clerk, you have the caption.
Unnumbered House Bill by Representative Dickey of the 134th and others to be entitled an act to amend Title 20 of the Official Code of Georgia annotated relating to education so as to repeal Chapter 18.
On the gentleman's motion that the rules of the House be temporarily suspended so a bill can be read for the first time and assigned to committee, is there objection? Agriculture and Consumer Affairs. Okay, Mr. Leader, I think we're to the end of the story here, so the majority leader is recognized for a motion.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I move that this House stand adjourned until 10 a.m. on Wednesday, February 19th, 2025.
Thank you, Mr. Leader. On the motion of the majority leader that this House stand adjourned until 10 a.m. Wednesday, February the 19th, 2025, all in favor will say aye. All those opposed will say no. That's pretty close. Ayes clearly have it. We stand adjourned.